Adam Fornwalt here with Harford head men's lacrosse coach Aaron Verardi. Coach, it's been an interesting couple of months. Obviously, you guys were happy to be back and be practicing, but kind of just take me through what these last month and a half, 2 months have been like for you guys and what that's looked like for you.
It's been great to be back. Every single one of these guys had their season canceled last year, so that includes the high school guys. So they just appreciate every opportunity to get out there, get better, and form some sort of chemistry, and just kind of get on the same page with how we do things here. They were just so excited to get out and play right from the get-go. We've been limited sort of to doing non-contact type drills for the first 6-7 weeks. What I found is we always look at the glass half full here, and our guys have certainly followed suit with that. And we found a way to really focus on the concepts and sort of the fundamental things that you don't always get to focus on as much when you're doing live drills all the time. So I think it gave us some really good sort of insight as to where some of our guys are with their skills and their lacrosse IQ and all these things. And then recently we've been able to start going live and sort of putting it into play. So we've been able to get after it a little bit the last couple of practices, and the energy has just been awesome. It's been great. And these guys are really, building something pretty special. And last year, we cut things short, but we sort of picked up right where we left off with all the guys that are returning, and they've kind of passed that on to, our guys that are right out of high school or newcomers. So it's been great. It's really just been a really valuable experience overall.
Yeah, well, you mentioned last year, and obviously, really things just didn't go the way that anybody wanted them to. It gets cut super short. You really only get the one scrimmage, and, now and then the season ends. So how do you take the momentum that you've built over the last couple of years, this program that you've basically built from the ground up, and then you essentially lose a year of that? How do you take the momentum and then put it on these new guys?
Yeah, I think honestly it's almost sort of an advantage to have left off with our last completed season, being the Region 20 champions and going to the Final Four. It almost made it so that we could really, get back to the basics. All last year we had a relatively new team. We had some returners, but we were really trying to build a culture, and that's really been the biggest thing over the last few years, is trying to build that culture where just you're getting 100% of the guys on the same page. And so, what we've been able to do is, more or less look back to our past successes, 2 years ago, and really talk about things that worked and things that didn't, and sort of how we were able to improve throughout that year. And by the end of the year, all things were clicking, and we really were able to see the results. So what it allowed us to do was work with that 2020 team, and now this 2021 team, to sort of build off of that. And these guys know that there is success, at the end of this road, where, we work them really hard here and we hold them to a really high standard. And in some ways, you kind of have to have some past success to build on that and to get guys to buy into it. So I think really it's just kind of played to our advantage, almost having that last year being so successful. Not that, we're saying it would have gone one way or the other last season, but it didn't happen. So really we're going off of what happened in 2019, continuing to build that culture and just continuing to get these guys, looking toward competing for a national championship. And that's why all these guys want to come here, is they want to compete for a national championship and move on to a 4-year school, and sort of all of those things that we do really contribute to that. And I think everybody's, pretty much bought into it. So
has anyone in particular stood out to you, either a newcomer or a transfer, guys that really have made an impact early on, or guys that you see getting some play time down the line that are going to make it a big difference this year?
Yeah, we actually got a lot of really nice additions last spring, and I think one big one I think a lot of people are going to notice right away is Nate Surd is an attackman. He's from out in Colorado, just a really big, talented, smart player. Has already played college lacrosse at a pretty high level, and he's coming in and really bringing sort of this veteran leadership from the outside. And he's a very talented player. I mean, the things that you have to spend a lot of time with other guys on, he's pretty much already got nailed down. I'm predicting him to step in and have a big year right away. We have a couple other transfers in the mix. We got a guy, defenseman, Blaine Shoemate, very athletic, talented. He's looked pretty good, early on. And then really, we got a lot of freshmen.
Yeah.
So truthfully, those are kind of the two main transfers.
Yeah, very a young team this year for sure. But you do have a couple returners, and I think that they are definitely going to see some time as well, and are going to be a big part of kind of establishing that Harford mindset, that Harford style of play that you look for in a team.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple guys right off the bat. Caden Cote, he's just a workhorse, just somebody that, does all the little things well. He's a leader. He's going to be a great player, regardless. Jack Bauer is someone who came in kind of late last year. We basically told him, if you're going to take your game to the next level, you got to get a little bigger and stronger, put a little more oomph on your shot. And he literally just worked on that the entire time he was home. And it was evident. As soon as he stepped on the field, it was like you were looking at a totally new guy. So, those two in particular. We have a couple other, returning players like Trevor Souza, who's, again, kind of worked on getting a little bit bigger and stronger. Pete Behrens, Ben Farrell, a couple attackmen that started for us last year that are looking pretty good. On the defensive end, Peyton Winters is someone who, again, we gave him some things he needed to work on over the break. He got himself in really good shape. He's gotten faster. He's somebody that I'm expecting to have a big year. Nick Jenkins is another defenseman. Dom Masella has been looking really good. So these are guys that have improved steadily over the last couple of years, and they use the time off, so to speak, to their advantage, and just got better. They got bigger, faster, stronger, worked on their sticks. They just look better.
I know that coming into every year, you kind of have a almost a motto or a goal in mind, something that you want the team to follow throughout the year. In the past, it's been all in all the time and things like that. So what is kind of the theme for this year, and something that you're kind of looking for your players to follow throughout the season?
Yeah, we honestly don't really get rid of those things. Like, it's not like one year has a theme. We kind of just keep building on it. One thing we added in this year was, guys getting an edge, and we actually picked that up. We were lucky enough to scrimmage Salisbury last season. Coach Berkman, who's a legend, came in and talked to our team, and, that was one of the things he brought up, and it really stuck with our guys, and we're thinking to ourselves, that really is the difference maker, is what you're doing outside of, the normal 2-hour a day practice. Everybody is going to work hard together in practice. Pretty much, you expect that from all your opponents, and the difference maker is going to be, what are you doing during the summertime? What are you doing during the winter? What are you doing on, your days off during the week? What are you doing just around practice time in general to get better? And that's something we've really adopted for this year is finding a way to get an edge on your competition. And that's not just, from a lacrosse standpoint, that is, a culture thing too. We want our guys to believe that, they have an edge on their opponents because they've worked harder, they've been held to a really high standard, and that's something that we've really put a heavy emphasis on this fall.
For all the latest info on the Fighting Owls, head over to HarfordAthletics.com.